Back in the day, few could compete on any level with Big Daddy Kane. Not only was he an MC who broke new ground by mixing the rhythms of hip-hop with the showmanship of classic R&B, but he also became one of hip-hop's first sex symbols. But while his work opened the doors for future generations of rap stars, he ultimately moved too fast for his own good. Big Daddy Kane, born September 10, 1968, grew up as Antonio Hardy on the hard streets of Bedford-Stuyvesant, also known as Bed-Stuy, a neighborhood in the northern section of the New York City borough of Brooklyn. He, along with his younger brother, was raised there by his mother, who was a nurse, and his father, who was a truck driver. When his parents were off the clock, they lived and breathed soul music. Therefore, Antonio got a great education in the genre whenever his mother would play Teddy Pendergrass, Marvin Gaye, and the Isley Brothers, or his father would play Al Green and Johnny Taylor. Antonio's parents instilled the belief in him and his brother that they could do anything they wanted to do in life. So, from an early age, he was determined to do just that, by rapping. Starting off with writing rhymes for one of his cousins who was also trying to get into the rap game, Antonio then got the idea to try rapping himself when another cousin he looked up to started taking him around to some of the block parties, and Antonio got to see him MC live and in living color. Initially, he thought his rhymes were on point, but after listening to a tape by hip-hop group the Cold Crush Brothers and hearing the flow of member Grandmaster Caz, Antonio knew he had a long way to go to get to that level. He came together with some other DJs in the area, including Calvin LeBrun, professionally known as DJ Mr. C, to create the collective The Magnum Force Crew. They would do local shows in the Brooklyn area. Over time, while many of the other members of the group decided to take their life in a different direction, Antonio and Mr. C stuck with their goal of making their musical dreams come true. One day at a local shopping mall, Antonio crossed paths with another up-and-coming rapper named Biz Markie. He took the opportunity to battle Biz right then and there. Biz was so impressed with what he heard, he took Antonio under his wing. Biz was already on his way, having landed a record deal on Cold Chillin' Records, and was part of a group called the Juice Crew, along with MC Shan, Cool G Rap, and Roxanne Shante. Antonio joined the Queens-based collective, headed by renowned DJ, record producer, rapper, and record label founder Marley Marl. He also began going by a new name, Big Daddy Kane.
The Kane part actually comes from my fascination with martial arts movies. You know, back in the days, the only two names you really were familiar with were Bruce Lee and Kane, or Young Grasshopper, whichever one you wanted to say. The Big Daddy part came from something I heard in one of those beach party movies with Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello. Vincent Price played a character named Big Daddy, and that's about as far as I with that when I want to go.
His first order of business was joining Roxanne on tour. Initially, he was her DJ. Then he started writing her rhymes for what became known as the Roxanne Wars. He wrote for other members of the Juice Crew as well, including Biz, and appeared in the music video of their posse cut, The Symphony. Kane signed with Cold Chillin' Records in 1987 and debuted the same year with the single Raw. It became an underground hit, receiving constant play at neighborhood parties. He wasn't going to be satisfied with being known as just a rapper, though. Kane brought in a couple of dancers from a local crew named Scoob Lover and Scrap Lover to join him on stage, creating a similar visual to what James Brown did with The Flames. He released his debut album, Long Live the Kane, in the summer of 1988. It went gold. The songs Ain't No Half Steppin' and I'll Take You There both made it onto the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. The album also featured Afrocentric tracks, such as Word to the Motherland, underscoring his identification with the socially conscious religious sect that was known as the Nation of Islam's 5% School. Kane also developed a look to match his message, including sharp suits, a high-top fade, and lots of gold jewelry. The following year, he released his second album, and biggest to date, It's a Big Daddy Thing. It also went gold and features 2 top 10 rap chart hits, the Teddy Riley-produced I Get the Job Done, which went to number 9, and Smooth Operator, which shot all the way to number 1.
Across the crowd, the listeners and spectators, so let's groove with the Smooth Operator.
Now, as a certified hitmaker, the money started pouring in, and so did the women. Kane, allegedly, was said to have had relations with 6 to 8 women every night while on tour. As he was working on his next album, Kane also performed on Quincy Jones's Back on the Block album on the title track. For his efforts, he'd go on to win a Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group. In 1990, Kane was featured on Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet on the song Burn Hollywood Burn, in which he discussed the depiction of African American characters, particularly in the Jim Crow era. He referenced Aunt Jemima as an example of the way Black women were characterized and given low-status roles. The lyrics can be seen to still have contemporary meaning after the company which produced the character removed Aunt Jemima from packaging 30 years after Burn Hollywood Burn was released. In the fall of that year, Kane released his third album, Taste of Chocolate. Even though he secured another top 10 hit on the rap chart with 'Cause I Can Do It Right, his relationship with his label was starting to go downhill. He then got into some things that made many people in the hip-hop world raise their eyebrows. He posed with Madonna for her photo book Sex, and followed that up with a more revealing appearance in Playgirl magazine. During his next tour, he graciously shared the stage with young proteges, something that wasn't necessarily too common. One rapper, by the name of Jay-Z, would later dedicate a page in his autobiography to Kane's enduring influence. Almost to the day of his last effort, Kane released his next album, Prince of Darkness, in the fall of 1991. By that time, his reputation as one of rap's leading ladies' man seemed secure, for better or for worse. While the ladies loved what he was putting down, the guys weren't feeling him as much. Despite the number 2 hit, Groove With It, and the moderately successful The Lover in You, for the first time in his career, Kane's latest body of work failed to crack the top 10 on the album chart. In the early 90s, Kane also tried his hand at acting, making his debut in Mario Van Peebles' 1993 Western Posse, followed by a role in Robert Townsend's 1993 film, The Meteor Man. Meanwhile, gangster rap was on the rise, with a sound, a look, and an attitude toward women that Kane wasn't down with at all.
That's never really been my thing to, bring it like bitches and hoes. That's not the way I was raised. My moms didn't raise me that way. I didn't really see no need to take it there where you gotta call a woman out her name like that on wax, because I didn't really feel like that's what music need to represent, That's just my feeling.
Looks Like a Job 4 was issued in the spring of 1993. It did much better on the top R&B hip-hop albums chart than Prince of Darkness, and produced 2 more top 10 rap singles, How You Get a Record Deal and Very Special. After leaving Cold Chillin', 1994's Daddy's Home was released on MCA. It didn't do well. 4 years later, Kane released his final solo album to date, Veterans Day. The process of putting the project together soured him on the business for good. So much so, he actually walked away before the album was even finished. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, Kane occasionally collaborated with a variety of hip-hop artists. He was honored during the 2005 VH1 Hip Hop Honors with a medley of his hits, performed by T.I., Black Thought, and Common. Kane himself then took to the stage to perform, accompanied by his old dancers, Scoob and Scrap. In 2010, he put an official end to his ladies' man days when he wed his wife, Shawnette, in a private ceremony. Later, he formed a supergroup called Last Supper, and went on to release the album Back to the Future. In the fall of 2021, Kane took to the stage against KRS-One in a Versus showdown, celebrating the golden era of hip-hop. Today, while he enjoys a tranquil private life, Big Daddy Kane continues to act in films and perform his classic hits on tour. He had quite the humble response when asked by OK Player in 2019 how it makes him feel when someone says he's one of the greatest MCs of all time. I appreciate that. I think that's beautiful. I got into this to be recognized that way. It was never about the money. It was really to showcase my skills. If people can respect my work, then I feel like mission accomplished.